Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the PG Show, where we're going to talk about OU recruiting today and give another update on where I think they're at, who I think they will land, and what this class could potentially look like for 2023. But before we get into it, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below about the 2023 class for the Sooners. Do you think Venables, Todd Bates, and the staff have done a good job? Or do you think that maybe they have missed on a couple players that were kind of gimmies and, over the next couple of years, you expect to see them clean that up on the recruiting trail? So, in no recent news, Anthony Evans decommitted from the University of Oklahoma on Friday, 11/25, and Sooner Nation didn't take it as bad as I thought you guys would. Kind of thought the fan base would literally dive back into turmoil and panic and act like literally the world is ending and falling apart. Like you have earthquakes everywhere, the earth's opening up, people are falling in, everything else. But Sooner fans were able to keep their composure. I think this is something that we all expected with Anthony Evans decommitting. In fact, he did take that visit to Georgia. And it was kind of odd, right? That he takes the visit to Georgia and he says he wants to take his mom there because his mom's a lifelong Georgia fan. She's never been to one. But, respect to the kid. He didn't want to cause any drama or cause any distractions for his teammates. So he was waiting until the end of the season. Let's be honest. For those acting like, the staff didn't know, both staffs probably knew. There's no way that Anthony Evans literally did this to Oklahoma and just dropped the ball on him for not to be able to go out and recruit somebody. So that kind of leaves us on what is next at the wide receiver position. And I have been a big advocator for, hey, you could go out there and try to flip Micah Tease. You've also got the kid at Notre Dame. But then additionally, you've got Landon Sides out at Denton Guyer, who, listen, guys, I think with his speed, he would be a great replacement for Anthony Evans, specifically because of his speed, right? You're not falling off too much of a drop-off from there. And he's got chemistry with Jackson Arnold. So Landon Sides, I feel like, is a good fit. If he wasn't offered a preferred walk-on already, which I can't remember if he said he was or not, then maybe the staff just needs to offer him a preferred walk-on. Maybe he needs to see when a scholarship opens up if he can grab one of those. Additionally, another guy that a lot of you guys are talking about is Brandon Harper. And yes, when you go look at Brandon Harper's stats, this man, I mean, there's nothing short of it. The question is, has the staff seen him, which I'm sure they have, and have they seen enough out of him to pretty much be able to want to give him an offer? I'm not sure. We know that he's a lifelong Oklahoma fan, so I'm sure if that offer came from Oklahoma, it would not be a very hard decision. And when you go look at his collegiate career and what he's done on the receiving side of the ball, listen, the man's put up some pretty big numbers. So we'll have to see what happens on that trail. I do want to go ahead and break down who I think they're going to get. No short anything out of missing out on the guys of Peyton, Bowen, and David Hicks. I still think those guys are locks. Oklahoma still gets them. And, of course, if you land Hicks, you land Sanford, the 4-star linebacker. And then also you've got the flip of Micah Tease. So pretty much the whole staff wanted him. And he's from Booker T. Washington and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Listen, I know you wanted to recruit him for the defensive side of the ball, but I think you might start to see Oklahoma throw out the offer to get him at the wide receiver. Because here's the deal. You can at least bring him in at the wide receiver, let him play at that position, which, let's be honest, Micah Tease is talented enough to play that position. But over time, you might be able to get him and convince him to transfer over to the defensive side of the ball, where maybe he can make more of an impact. So we'll have to see kind of how that goes. Right now, he is currently committed to Arkansas. And some people tell you he's not going to flip. I've heard some people say he will flip. So we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on that recruitment and kind of see where Oklahoma goes from there. Another guy that Oklahoma could be looking at the wide receiver position is Taylor Wine's teammate out of Nolensville, Tennessee, Chance Fitzgerald. So he's a 3-star wide receiver. He's the number 506th wide receiver overall, or the number 506th player overall in the country. He's got offers from Oklahoma State, Auburn, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Minnesota. He's a guy that is slowly starting to creep up through the rankings. A team that is slowly starting to gain some traction throughout college football with these offers. And ultimately, when you look at Chance Fitzgerald and what he's able to bring, this guy might be a guy that come into a program, maybe not in Oklahoma, but he could come into a program and be a Power 5 starter right away. Whether that's at Minnesota or Virginia Tech, Louisville, Oklahoma State, shoot, maybe even Auburn, right? He has really good size, and, he's a really great blocker too, which to have a receiver want to actually block, I think is a lost art nowadays. You don't really see a lot of receivers that are just willing to go out there and block. And so when you see his catch radius and everything in the film, you could definitely see why Chance is going up to the rankings. I think maybe could be a 4-star by the end of this cycle. You could see him do kind of a Robert Spears Jennings type of move throughout the 247 rankings. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And ultimately, if OU lands all of those guys, so David Hicks, Peyton Bowen, Micah Tease, Daymion Sanford, Marcus Strong, Chance Fitzgerald, hey, you're looking at a pretty good class. And Akana. So I have Akana in these rankings right here. And I know I said I haven't been as high on him as of lately, but he's still in the mix for Oklahoma, and we know that Oklahoma is still in a very good position with him. Now, yes, you've got to go out there and you've got to beat out LSU and Texas. It seems like LSU and Texas are right in this thing. And who knows? Tennessee might be in it as well. Tennessee's been massively gaining people on the recruiting trail. He did recently take his official visit out to Texas A&M on the 4th, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Listen, if Oklahoma is able to land those guys, you're looking at a 303.57 composite score. Now, if you take out, let's see here, if you take out just Micah Tease, because I know a lot of people say he's not going to flip, you take out Micah Tease and you keep just Chance Fitzgerald, you're looking at 301. So you're still looking at over 300. That likely gets you in the top 3 of the recruiting classes. Because ultimately, I don't think Texas is going to finish off as strong as they want to. I think Anthony Hill is going to be a harder battle than what they think. So Oklahoma, you realistically could end anywhere between 300 to 305 because we know there's still some updates, and we expect Jackson Arnold to continue to move up within the top 10, maybe even in the top 5. So we will definitely have to keep an eye on that one. But other players that I think Oklahoma definitely could be in the running for, because listen, we've seen Brent Venables and Todd Bates and the staff at Clemson come into races late. And they don't necessarily win the players, but they make a pretty close run at them. So, yes, I know he's crystal balled, but Ruben Bain, top 100 player, defensive lineman, 6'2", 250 out of Miami, Florida. We know that he wanted to go to the University of Miami, but they're having some problems with a previously hired coach, and it does not look like he's going to end up going to be there. He had an absurd amount of tackles in his junior year, 29 and a half sacks as a junior in Miami-Dade County. So Ruben Bain can definitely shed the blocks, and he can definitely get to the quarterback. And I think that's something that you really want to be able to see, and that's something that Oklahoma, I feel like, is going to need to be able to get. Here's my deal. When you follow the visits for Ruben Bain, he has taken quite a few visits to Louisville. This could be a recruitment where Louisville wins it. I'm looking at the list right now to make sure I'm not missing any. And okay, I'm not. Okay, cool. So he took a visit to Louisville on April 16th, 2022. That was an unofficial. Okay. June 3rd, he took the official to Oklahoma. So he took an official to OU. Love to hear that. Party at the Palace. Then he came back on September 16th and took an unofficial again to Louisville. And then he took an unofficial visit again Remember how I'm pointing out all these unofficials. Keep that in mind on October 29th. And then on December 9th, he took the official visit to Louisville. So ultimately, I think Oklahoma could potentially still try to be in this race if they absolutely really wanted to. But it seems like Louisville might get this one as well. One guy that I really want to see Oklahoma throw an offer out and try to get into late in the game. I know it might be too late, but it's Matayo Uiagalelei. And that's, yes, DJ Uiagalelei's brother. So DJ Uiagalelei, for those of you who don't know, he plays the quarterback position at Clemson. I know a lot of people are, not high on him as of this year, but here's the deal. Matayo is a 6'5", 265-pound edge rusher, and this is probably one of the top 5 elite edge rushers in the country. When you look at what he's got top-notch athleticism, and my goodness, he's got some size on him. He can change his direction pretty much instantly. There is no slowdown. He's quick off of his feet. He's got explosive burst. I like what I see out of Matayo. And with Venables being from Clemson, these are the kind of routes you have to be able to use to go out here and get these guys. Because you helped to recruit his brother to Clemson. So go out there and go grab yourself Matayo at the edge position. Go ahead and make that position even more elite than what it is, especially with the potential exit of some players that are currently on the team throughout the transfer portal. One of those maybe being Clayton Smith. I think if you're Oklahoma, you really got to start maybe trying to hit the defensive line and the edge position just a little bit more. So I would really like to see them throw out an offer for Matayo. I'd like to see what you could do there. Other than that, I think they pretty much try to wrap up the recruiting from here, and then they just look at the transfer portal. I think if you can't get your top targets at this point, you don't take anybody, and you just go look at the transfer portal and see what they got. Because here's the deal. The guys that aren't ranked in the composite lower 3 stars, they'll still be around. You still have a while before National Signing Day. And so you can giddy up your portal acquisitions from there. So we're going to see where Oklahoma lands. I think they do pretty well. 300 to 305 is where I think we end in the composite score. Might not be number 1. I think Alabama's got that one on lock. And you guys will check out that video here in a little bit because I'm going to have that one coming up. Because Alabama's recruiting, that's going to get pretty interesting. So go ahead, let me know in the comments below, who do you guys think Oklahoma is going to be able to land and finish out with in this 2023 cycle? Where do you guys think they land in the 2023 recruiting rankings at the end of the cycle? And when do you think Peyton Bowen will flip his commitment?